Today we are going to talk about the ABC of present simple. What are you going to discover with this video? Why we need to use it, how we construct the sentences, what rules are there governing this present tense, and why should we use time markers? Before we start, we've got two basic goal rules that we need to follow. The first is distractions outside. Let's turn off the mobile phone, let's close our Google or YouTube account. Do not look at Instagram all through this video. The second rule is to grab your learning partner. You need a notebook where you can jot down, write, or take down notes of the most important things that you consider through the video. Now, you probably are asking, what is it with the ABC? These are all the pearls we're going to analyze as regards the present simple. The uses, positive sentences, the spelling of S or ES, negative sentences, questions, polar questions, yes, no questions, information questions with WH words, and lastly, keywords or time markers to indicate the verbal tense. So let's start. First of all, we are going to talk about the uses. We use this verbal tense, the present simple, to talk about general truth. For example, water boils at 100 centigrades. Or another general truth is that the sun always comes out by the east. We also employ the present tense use as routines. Daily routines, daily activities that perform on a regular basis, as regards habits. Now, any questions? We are all fine. Excellent. As regards affirmative sentences, here it's going to be interesting. Affirmative sentences have the basic structure of a subject, a verb, plus a complement. For example, I study English in the morning. You eat chocolate at night. They play football twice a week. We listen to music every day. We can see that with these personal pronouns, I, you, we, they, happens. These four personal pronouns do not change the verb. We use the verb in the infinitive form. Now pay attention. What happens during these examples? He studies English in the afternoon. She eats chocolate at noon. He plays football once a month. It listens to music every day. In these four sentences, we can see that the verb has changed. That is to say, that with the personal pronouns he, she, it, the verb does change. And how does it change? Now, let's take a very important note. With the personal pronouns I, you, we, they, the verb does not change. But with he, she, it, the verb does change, adding an S or an ES. Now, excellent so far. How do we know when to add the S and when to add ES? This is important to know. ES and ES is only going to be used in affirmative sentences. Yes, remember this is very important tip. We have the golden S. When do you use it? In the most majority of verbs. Yes, for example, drink, drinks. We just added the S. Eat, eats. Walk, walks. Paint, paints. Verbs ending with a vowel plus Y, they add the letter S. For instance, stay, stays, says, say, says, buy, buys, enjoy, enjoys. Now we also have the issue of adding the ES. When is it going to be used? Let's analyze. Verbs ending with a consonant plus Y. Y changes to I, and then we add the ES. Let's see. cry, cries. Try, tries. Fly, flies. Cry, cries. Verbs ending in the following letters: S, SH, CH, X, Z, O. They will add the ES at the end, such as pass, passes, wash, washes, fix, fixes, go, goes. Any doubts or questions so far? No, very well. That's what I thought. Let's move on to negative sentences. How do we turn a sentence into the negative? We've got the auxiliaries. These two words are very important for you to remember. In the negative sentences, what we do is, to the basic structure that we analyzed before, we only add the auxiliary in between. So we will have subject, the auxiliary, verb and complement. I do not study English. You don't eat chocolate. They do not play football. We don't listen to music. So, what we can see here is that we have the auxiliary in two forms. We can say do not or don't, meaning the same. That is to say that with the personal pronouns I, you, we, and they, we use the auxiliary do not. But it can be abbreviated into don't. Changes the pronunciation just a little bit. And the main verb doesn't change. The main verb is still in the base form, in the infinitive form. Now pay attention, pay close attention. He does not study English. She doesn't eat chocolate. He does not play football. It doesn't listen to music. Here, what we have is a does auxiliary. Does not, or abbreviated into doesn't. That is to say, when he, she, it are used, the auxiliary does not has to be used in the negative. Abbreviated is doesn't, and pay attention to the verb. Here the verb doesn't change. That is to say that it remains in the base form, in the infinitive form, without the letter S or ES, because it already is in the auxiliary. Now, the VIP note, a very important note. You, we, they will use do not or don't plus the verb and doesn't change. He, she, it will use doesn't or does not, and the verb goes without ES or S alone. Now stop there. Do you remember? Let's make some memory. Do you remember that very, very important keynote we said about the S and ES? Which was the golden rule? Can you figure it out? Exactly, you are correct. We said that the S and ES is only used in affirmative sentences. Yes? Perfect. Let's move on. Sure. We have to address now what we call polar questions or questions yes, no. As the name says, we can only answer yes or no. These polar questions, these yes-no questions, have the auxiliary and the complements before, but hey look, the auxiliary came in front. We will have the auxiliary first, then the subject, the verb, and the complement, plus the question mark. Do not forget the question mark. Excellent. And how can we answer? We will say yes, subject, and the auxiliary in the affirmative form, because we are saying yes, we are agreeing. And if we are going to say no, we are going to negate, we use the noun, subject, plus the auxiliary in the negative form. You want some examples? Let's analyze. Do you clean your house? Yes, I do. Only 3 words. Yes, subject, and the auxiliary. Does he use the mobile phone? No, he doesn't. Once again, we only have 3 words. Yes or no, the subject, and the auxiliary. Let's see more examples. Do they sell cookies? Yes, they do. Does she serve the net? No, she doesn't. Now, pay attention to the VIP note. I, you, we, they will have do at the beginning, then the subject, and then the verb that will not change. The verb here, once again, it's always in the infinitive form. Whereas he, she, it will use thus at the beginning, then the subject, and the verb without the s or es. Stop there. Make some memory. What was the golden rule? Do you remember? I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Exactly. What was it? The s or es is only used in affirmative sentences. As well in a question here, these are interrogative ones. We don't have to use the s or es. Very easy, huh? Yes, I agree with you. And what about the other type of questions? The information questions or WH questions. Why do we call them like that? These are questions that they want us to give information and we have to reply in a full sentence. For example, we have these 7 WH words to start every question. We have what, where, when, who, why, which, how. These 7 question words will help us make questions and interrogate our addressee with a lot of facilities. What is the structure that we need to recover? WH at the beginning, the auxiliary, subject, the verb, and the complement. Finally, the question mark. So if we compare with the previous one, what is only new here is the WH at the beginning. The rest is all the same. The answer here will be different. Their answers are always subject, verb, and complement. Let's see. What do you cook at weekends? I cook lasagna. Here we can see that we are giving information. When does she go to school? She goes to school in the morning. Here what we do is to provide further information to the person who is asking us for it. Let's analyze some more. Where do you live? I live in Posadas. How does he feel? He feels fantastic. So far so good? I guess we are. I'm heading off to our last pearl. Can you believe that? We are about to finish. Keywords. What is going on with these keywords? What do we mean by it? First of all, we have adverbs of frequency. These words are highly used to explain how often or how many times a day, a week, in a month, we do certain activities. Each one of them has a different percentage. For example, if we use never, we say that the action is done by a 0%. Instead, if we use always, we imply that we do the activity on a regular basis. In between, we have a wide variety of adverbs that we can use. Now, a big question. Where do we place them in a sentence? This is another VIP note that we need to consider. These adverbs of frequency are always used before the main verb, but after the verb to be. Let's see. We always read books. He often writes emails. They are never late. She is generally happy. We can pay attention to this. Read and write are ordinary verbs, are a common verb. So the adverbs of frequency comes first, comes at the beginning. But the next two sentences, are and is, both of them are the verb to be. Therefore, the adverbs of frequency, never and generally, have to be placed afterwards. Another adverbs of times or time markers that we can have are, for example, parts of the day. In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, at noon, at night, at weekends. This refers to parts of the day and including some days together. For example, at weekends, we can have every day on a regular basis. I always do it every day. Or we have some combinations. Once, implying, yes, once, or twice, a day, a week, a month, a year, once or twice an hour. We have many options with this last statement. Now, do you remember some of the examples we saw before? What? You're probably saying, I don't remember. Let's see, I'm sure you will understand what I mean. He studies English in the afternoon. She eats chocolate at noon. He plays football once a month. It listens to music every day. Now do you remember? Here at the end of the sentence, we have what we call the time markers. Now I guess you are like this. Yes, now you remember how to use time markers. Now, we are perfect so far. No questions? Now let me tell you something very important. That's all for now. What we have seen is all you need to know about the present simple tense. That's all. Are you shocked? Was it too much content? Too many notes? Don't worry, breathe in, but now it's time for us to exercise. To put it in a nutshell, what have we seen and what do we need to remember about the present tense? We use it for exactly general truths, when we talk about routines and habits. We have the S or ES, which are our golden rules. We never need to forget about them. We have the auxiliary do and does, the question words, yes, to ask for information, and the adverbs of frequency or other adverbs of time. Once again, general truth, routines and habits, the verb with or without, the S or ES, the auxiliary do, don't, does, doesn't, to make questions and make negative sentences, the adverbs of frequency and time. So now, what do we do with all these that we have been addressing? Shall we toss it off to the garbage, to the bin, like it didn't matter, it doesn't matter? Of course not. Now, we are going to have 1 minute. What are we going to do among this minute? First of all, take down note. What have you discovered with this video? What was new? What is the useful knowledge, the useful tip and useful idea that you have encountered? Because take a look at the following. If you don't take notes, all the knowledge that we have learned, they may disappear. And I'm sure that all this effort is worth it. Therefore, be ready, and you have 1 full minute to take down notes. Are you ready? Alright, let's do it. 1 minute passed by so quickly, doesn't it? Very good. I'm sure you wrote many important issues. What are we going to do next? Ready, set, go. We are going to put into practice all this knowledge that we have been acquiring and revising. What is it that you're going to do? Pay attention. First of all, you're going to write a mind map. You're going to build a mind map depicting the most important issues about the present simple. What do you consider important? Next, underline examples of present simple tense, verbs, auxiliaries, time markers from the text that we read the class before. Do you remember the tape script about the boy and his routine? Exactly, that very same one. Open the tape script, read it again, and as you read, underline all the grammatical content that you can relate. After done that, let's move on to exercises online. I will share you the link by the email and the school platform so you have the exercises to complete. Remember, these are self-checked exercises, so you will have the answer for them immediately once you finish. Lastly, remember to leave a comment on your performance at the school platform. Your partners and I will be eager to see how you did, how we can help, and if not, to share our experiences. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if it was easy or is it difficult? I want to know what you think, so don't forget to complete that part. We have seen all the present simple verbs. Remember, you can watch this video as many times as you need. So, with that, we got to the very end. I hope for you to have enjoyed the video, you having learned new topics, new things, or if not, to have revised those contents or those grammatical elements that could have been somewhere forgotten. Therefore, let's move on to our task.